Is this working? Can you hear? Good?
Hi.
Good morning, good afternoon, depending on what you did last night. So we are Braw Haus. This is the last day at OFFF Festival. It's been a blast, a lot of very creative people. Thank you all for coming here today to listen to our story. Just by curiosity, who was forced to come here because you met us during the OFFF Festival? Can you raise your hand? Yes, shout out to all of you. Thank you so much. So we were kind of like thinking of how we were going to present this today. And we thought we'll just tell our story of how we are here today standing in front of you. So we are Braw Haus, a women-founded creative studio. And we didn't really rehearse all of this. So yes, let's just go within the flow.
We didn't rehearse because we wanted to experiment a little bit as to like when you create something and a whole presentation, what is it to just maybe be a bit more surprised with what comes to in front of your eyes, and then as creative people, a lot of times we're in the back end and not in the forend having to present. So we wanted to do this experiment with you, and welcome.
Hello.
Hello.
So a little bit of a story. I'll introduce myself. I am Justine Vilgrain. I was a very naughty kid when I was younger. I was definitely a nightmare for my parents. What? It's like I was definitely a nightmare for my parents. I come from a very big family, a lot of siblings, a lot of nephews, a lot of cousins. I was kicked out of many different schools, being hyperactive and very dyslexic. It was definitely struggling. I grew up in Paris. I moved to boarding school because I was kicked out of many schools in Paris. So I moved to England, where I was kicked out as well of many different boarding schools. And then I was lucky enough to pursue and start learning about arts and art practice while I was in boarding school, which led me to apply to Parsons School of Design in New York, and I got a scholarship to attend Parsons School. From there, I went to New York, and this is where my creative journey kind of started. And I always wanted to have an impact, whether in my project and what I was doing. I wanted to, become like kind of a reference as an individual. That was my thesis. So I study integrated design. I specialize in conception and projection mapping. My thesis was around the use of projection mapping that has an impact in someone's way of thinking. When I was a kid, I did my first internship in advertising. And I always thought it was very interesting how advertising is a dictator of what you need to consume or the way you're going to be thinking of something. So my fake news project was 12 masks that was on a wall. I had a 30-minute video from the news of the US, so with journalists and politicians, and they were all having a conversation with each other, but it was totally different subjects. So I create themes around like climate change, immigration, and they were talking, but those footage were from different subjects. So it was how can you manipulate the media to make someone believe that this conversation actually happened, but it didn't happen. Following on some of the impact and where I stand and believe in the society and the world, I wanted to have an impact in education and educating the film industry and refugees. So I had this very broad project called Through Their Eyes, where it was to go in a refugee camp with a lot of professional filmmakers and that has different job in the filmmaking industry, and be able to, during 1 month, teach refugees about all of the different works, and then during the last week, actually create a film that they will direct. They will be the DP and will assist them. And the idea was to be able to send this film across different festivals for them to potentially win some awards and maybe change the course of their journey. This didn't happen because of COVID. I went to Calais in the north of France to meet some of the refugees to understand better what they wanted to pursue. And now I'm going towards, I live in Athens and I work with an association to try and make this project see the light at some point. Another project that we kind of created, it's certified dyslexic. So as mentioned, I'm very dyslexic. And when we created Braw Haus, it was definitely something because you become a business owner and you need to send emails to people you don't know and they don't know you. And there's a lot of spelling mistakes in my emails. So Patricia was kind of like, I need to rewrite all your emails. My friends, my sister, thanks God I have many siblings that could help. But I was not independent in my everyday journey. So I thought there was an issue in our society that it's not normal that as an individual I was not able to go in my day-to-day correctly. So I wrote a letter to our dear French President Emmanuel Macron, explaining to him my journey from studying in France to going to England to then going to the US and how I was much more accepted in those other countries and I was not accepted in my own country for being who I am. And I think we should never point a problem without pointing a solution. So I propose a solution of a stamp that is applied on email signature as well as on student at school. So this is when certified dyslexic, and we have now ADHD.
Yeah. The wrong one is.
But we have many different not visible handicap. And this is a campaign we did with Disseny Hub. This is the second one we did. The idea is to positively kind of express the beauty of being dyslexic. I'm very proud to be dyslexic. Is there any other dyslexic people in this room? Raise your hand. Big clap to you guys. So yes, this is kind of the journey.
Yeah,
And
sorry. Yeah, because of this stamp has different ways of being used. So it's certified dyslexic, but as well as ADHD. We're both big ADHD. I mean, I know it's now a trend or whatever, but
you can see that right now.
But actually, it's good to point it out because it looks like there's a lot of creative people and a lot of entrepreneurs that have ADHD. So I think it's a good thing to talk about it and show it. I'm going to talk a bit about myself. So and why as well we decided to tell you a little bit about our backgrounds is for you to understand a little bit where we are at today and how we evolved for us to evolve as of today. So my name is Patricia Gloum. I grew up very mixed and very hybrid. My dad is a Greek and he's a jazz musician, and my mom is from Spain, and she's a tech person and an IT consultant, and as well she's the one who taught me everything about art. She would be the one taking me into all the museums as a kid that I would hate because I was very hyperactive, and going into a room where it was just white with one artwork wasn't enough for me to enjoy the art. And actually I just understood that world when my mom took me to Dali's house in Cadaqués, because then I was able to diving into this artist world and mind and the life he had with Gala. So that made me understand what is it to be an artist, what is it to live like this, and actually how it made so much sense with my background and who I was. So here you can see a bit of my childhood story. So I grew up with a jazz musician. I was a lot of times in the music studio with him, seeing how he was doing his songs, and so it was very inspiring for me to see that. And to see his journey as a musician, like what is it like when you're an artist, and then you have to as well provide for a family, and because art doesn't pay, especially when it's jazz. So it was a good lesson for me to see that journey. And as well, I was a big entertainer. I love to disguise myself and create new realities for all the guests that would come to my house, my parents' house. So there was this idea of always wanted to provide for others and disguise myself. Because of that, as well as a childhood, I would be inventing a lot of things. So I invented like a radio show. For me, it was very important to storyboard. So when I was in school, because I was very hyperactive and very disruptive, I have a very similar story to Justine. I got kicked out from many schools. And I remember going to school and being like, okay, Patricia, today you're going to be a good student. You're going to listen to everything they're going to say, because I wanted to be a good student, but I just had so much energy that like something was happening. I had like to be kicked out because like I was starting to draw or throw things. And so yeah, so that journey of childhood going into an adult was when a society is not ready for kids that have different a little bit. It's a step for you to understand how can you adapt to society and how can you understand society, so then both of you navigate together. So from there, I went and studied graphic design and advertising because I loved music videos and I love like spots. I wanted to be a musician, but because of my dad's like story, was a bit like, maybe I'll see it from far, but music is amazing. So I went and studied graphic design and art direction, and this is one of the school projects that I did at the end. So in art direction and graphic design, you don't study film, you just study all the basics of graphic designs, and art direction is all advertising way of thinking. So I went on and I did this like...
RTP...
This project, why is it value to show it? Because it has a connection with the future without doing it on purpose. So it was this idea of how can I elevate people's lives in the subway when they go every day, because the subway is something very dark. It's tunnel, and then every people had this way of going into work that was very uninspiring for me. So I was like, okay, I want my last project in school to be about showcasing art in those subways that are so dark and it's potential space to be used that are not used. So this was the project. I mean, this is an explanation video. I'm not putting you the film because it's like, just a little piece, and then, yeah.
RTP has initiated the So Era project, an artistic venture. The goal is to enhance Parisians' mood and well-being during metro rides. For this purpose, RTP has equipped the Line 1 tunnel with light panels that display up to 10 images. These images animate like vintage films due to the train's speed. The system simplifies altering images by just opening the panel and inserting a poster with 10 pictures for a new animation. The images adorning the tunnel will be designed by young artists chosen by us. The concept is based on a 19th century children's game, the Zoetrope. So Era enables passengers to reach their destination peacefully, drawing inspiration from an environment that has become enriching. Parisians will enhance their work performance.
So a side note of this, it was in French, and it was like 5 days ago. I was like, oh my God, how am I going to translate this in English? So like I found an AI, and I placed the AI, I put that, and that's like the AI that did all the subtitles and all the voice, so it was like perfect. Okay, so then from this going into like, because my school was about graphic design and art direction, I thought that by studying that, I was going to do advertising videos and commercials and music videos. I mean, because I didn't have people in my around to tell me that, and maybe I wasn't like smart enough to look around how like the process of going into what I actually really wanted to do. So I went to all these design as well to do videos. And so after school, I went and studied and went to agency world. I was working with Ogilvy, VCCP, working for brands like Nike, Sloggy, Movistar. It was in Berlin. And then, so yeah, I'm in this agency, being like, okay, junior art director. I'm thinking, okay, I'm writing these ideas, and I'm going to be like making those ideas. And then realize that actually, that no, you do the ideas and the art direction, but you're not the one doing the whole process. It's like someone else doing the process. I was like, oh no, like for me, what I love about film is to do the whole thing, from the beginning to pre-production, post-production to post-production. So that was a big moment of realization. I was like around 22, and went on my own to have to learn each like step of like what do you do to make a video? What does it take? So I took like my storyboard skills, because when I was a kid, I would like draw so much with a friend, like storyboards, and then other friends helped me along the journey, all with friends, like people that were either a bit already in the industry, and then like they loved the project, so we were like collaborating a lot. And that's how I went into my journey of filmmaking for like, I don't know, maybe like 10 years now, now it's 14, but at that time, yeah, anyway, like around 10 years. Yeah, so from there, this was in New York. You can see one of my little favorite projects. And as I was working on this journey of being a filmmaker, and deciding my own life, like when you wake up, like what time do you wake up? This because you work late at night. I don't have like a 9 to 5. Yeah. So there was not a lot of people that were having that type of life. It wasn't taken seriously. Freelancers or doing your own thing, but with a purpose, was seen as like, oh, but do you have a serious job? So yeah, I'm doing serious projects and serious things. So there was this whole disconnection I was feeling between all these freelancers that we were doing our own thing, and then we were all meeting for projects, and then boom, separating again. So at that moment, I was thinking of this idea, like, how can I do something that's just bigger than myself? Like, it's cool to direct, and I love doing all that, but also it's like, as a director, you have a lot of, it's just about you, right? And I didn't want that to be just about me. It was like, what is it that we can do something for, that everyone as well has like the piece of a cake and the same name and all these things. And so that's when the idea of putting people together started to come. And that's when our journey starts here. That's why we're here today,
yes.
right?
We bumped into each other at Union Square in New York in 2017.
Yeah, right.
Yes.
Yeah.
But before that, we met 5 years before in a very tiny island called Paros in Greece, where both of our family have a house, and we met in this very special beach, very like sudden.
Because we both have Greek.
We
so
both
that's why
have Greek.
Yeah.
And this is actually a video of us this summer, just after we got bitten by we don't know what. And this, in the sea, both of us, there was many people at the beach, but only both of us got that problem. Inside the entire island, no one as well. And this is a very nice lady putting butter on our scarves. I'm still recovering from that pain. So this is the island where we met with very kind people, and that's where we are every summer working from.
So yeah, so we met, you know, that this big difference from like meeting in Union Square, bumping into each other, like really imagine that scene, right? You're in the subway, in Union Square, full of people, and then I'm the one who saw you. Yeah, so it's like, I know you from this island, like so small, you know, like from small to big. And so yeah, we started becoming friends. And I told her about this idea of like, what if, you know, we would do something bigger than ourselves. She loved that idea. You were already doing your own things in that direction. Like our energy was matching. So that's how, you know, in 2018, we decided to do the beginning of Braw. And we're going to tell a bit of lessons learned along that journey. First, trust your co-founder.
Yeah.
Free trust.
So our company needs to start with a name and a logo. So this is where we start brainstorming. We were not too sure how to say that. We have both different explanation of why the name is Braw Haus today. My explanation, it's a mixture of bros and a bra, making it a woman bro company.
You thought it was Bauhaus to Braw Haus.
And then the idea of Bauhaus, so the idea of like being as well like an innovative and a new kind of medium.
Yeah.
Patricia has a different version.
It's similar, but it was the idea of a brotherhood, of how like there was this feeling that like when you don't know a man, you're like, oh, what's up, bro? And like a brother, and you kind of like there's this trust. And with women, sometimes it's a bit of an old concept, but at the time it was more relevant, where women would not like support each other more. There was this type of jealousy thing, so I didn't want that in like the business industry or creative, even in any, not even just business, in friends or anything. But there was this feeling, so I was like, oh, you know, for me it's more like the feminine of a brother, but invented.
And so from there we find a name. Shout out to Disseny, who designed our logo, who was my super roommate and a super dope artist. You definitely should check it out. Yeah. And she was designing the credits for a music video Patricia was directing. And that's when we asked her if she could use the same technique from the credits to create our logo. Yeah. So this is kind of the journey of the beginning of the logo.
Yeah, what her techniques were like she scanned the typography of the credits and then like she would stretch it and it looked so cool that it was like, oh, let's try to put 5 letters and see how does it look like. And so that's how, you know, this is what it was, and this is like now the evolution of the logo, how it is today, which is more 3D. But the first one's super nice too.
So this is where we all started. So initial idea since the beginning, and like today is the same. Braw Haus is a company that is made by artists. We are both artists for artists. Since 2018, we've been featuring on our social media, on Instagram, digital artists from across the world. The idea is to educate the people about digital arts, about different practices that the industry have, technique, and as well putting them up front. And so then we started by doing that, by doing events. A lot of our projects are about community and bringing people together to create one bigger project. So from there, we started to do events.
Yeah. It's so funny, I just realized that there's a Sam Rolfs here, who's like, actually I wanted to check his talk. And yeah, that was like the beginning of 2018. Yeah.
So
okay.
Those are some of our events we did in Berlin, in Miami, in New York. Our first event was called Live, which is the video there. Again, very collaborative. There was not much digital art in that event. We did some projection mapping, but we created this massive wall with a canvas for everyone to come and share and create one big artwork in a collaboration within each other. With some exhibition as well. The one in Berlin, we were showcasing some digital art, some tattoo artists were getting inspired by the artwork to do live tattoo drawing. Definitely don't bring a tattoo artist at an event after 12 p.m. People regret a lot the next day. So that we learned around the journey. The sponsor was not really happy when he wake up with a tattoo on his leg. We told him not to, but yeah, he didn't listen.
They can hear us enough.
That led to our first talk. So we're here standing today, but the first talk we ever did in our life was actually at the Apple Store in New York.
Yeah.
We created this film using an iPhone around the water consumption for a Nikon Film Festival. And Apple invited us to come on Earth Day, so our project was very around, not wasting water. It's a gift that we have every day, and we're not conscious how it's a gift, but for a lot of people in the world, it's actually a gift to receive water. So that's what we try to transmit. And yes, that was during Earth Day. Moving on year by year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So in 2019, because at the beginning of Braw, what we were doing was about showcasing digital art, and we were featuring so much about that medium that wasn't recognized as such at that time. It was recognized as animation, graphic design, and another type of label. But the label digital art or digital artist wasn't a thing. So for us, we wanted to really just put that forward and put that value to those artists with that label. Then in 2019, we decided to be part of this first digital art fair called CADAF, showcasing 3 different digital artists at that time. They still are and doing amazing stuff still today. We featured Dirkoy, Renato Elbank, and Marco Mori. All these names I invite you to go check on Instagram because their art are going to mesmerize you and inspire you to all of you creatives. So at that time, we were part of that fair, showcasing those 3 digital artists. And because we were wearing the hat of a gallery and selling art as well on this, because for us it had value to, as a gallery, to be having to sell those pieces. So we heard about blockchain, but blockchain was a learning curve. It was not something that it was easy for us to apply it at that moment. So at that moment, we're like, okay, how do we sell those pieces of art? It's digital, right? It's something that is not tangible. So that's when, with our lawyer,
Shout out to our lawyer.
Shout out to Gabriel Safar, a really cool lawyer of image rights. We did contracts and USBs. That was our way of authentifying that these art pieces had a value that you could bring home and the whole thing. People really didn't understand anything that what we were doing. They were like, but how do you guys make money? Like, I don't know, you know, we're trying to do things. And so it was just really, for people, it was too abstract, this idea of digital arts. But we really believed in our idea. We really believe in all these artists. And so for us, it was, OK, we're going to keep doing what we're doing. And that's when we were putting up some immersive installations. This here was like because we love sustainable and impact projects, so this idea of using digital art for an impact project. So here was the connection of when you buy a ticket, you buy as well, you can plant a tree in a forest, because there was a lot of deforestation, and how all these forests, they're all burning out and then becoming all 3D, thanks to the work of to those digital artists that were doing artworks only with nature. 2020, here, as I mentioned before, we were like learning about blockchain. So, you know, this idea of we're very curious people. We always want to like learn new things and how to add, not to be behind with technology, right? To embrace it as much as we can, and in the artistic field. And as well, something with Braw that's very important is the collaboration part. It's important for us to have this empowerment feeling. So this was one of my first fashion films trying 3D, implemented. It was done with Alexis Quenel, an amazing digital artist from Canada. And he's the one who did all the 3D part. I did the imagery, the film. So because I don't have a background knowledge as to like what does it work, what is the pipeline working, how do you mix 3D and like a film at the same time, this was like the first attempt to really put those two things together, and this idea of like how film can collaborate more with digital and how can those two be more together into this new way of creating. It can be for art, for your own project, but for advertising as well, or any other type. Tu veux parler de ça, toi?
So then we had a crazy idea. As we mentioned, we kind of wanted to pursue the advertising industry and how we can make new kind of advertising. So we did a collaboration with 10 filmmakers. One of them is here today, Santiago from Art Camp, who happily participated in that crazy project. So the product was this hat. And we gave a hat to 10 different directors with some rules. It was a 15-second commercial work. We all shared a deck together, and it was the idea of exclusive corp. So you only knew the last frame of the one that was before you, and you needed to match the second, like your first frame needed to match the last frame of that filmmaker before you. So this is how we arrived at a full commercial. We were not too sure. It's like 2 minutes. Should we put it on or should we not put it on? Raise your hand if you want to see that crazy project. Yes.
Oh, wow.
Yes? OK.
Because we were like, maybe we skip that slide. But yeah. So imagine a film of 2 minutes, and it's 15 seconds, 10 directors. And this idea of like, there's no competition between filmmakers. We're doing a film, all of us together. How does it look like?
you a juggler or are you a lover?
L'attente avant de devenir un lapin, on l'a tous vécu, c'est sublime, et ça s'appelle tumulte d'angoisse suscité par l'attente de l'être aimé. Tumulte d'angoisse. Ah, c'est d'une beauté.
Searching for something that's sought for law, that protects us. We're ready.
So, thank you, and thanks to all those directors that accepted this crazy project. So we get into 2021. I forgot what's the next slide after that.
So we didn't rehearse.
Yeah, get into more innovative. So as mentioned, we are artists, but we're not necessarily, we got into working with digital artists that are working with many different medium.
Now you moved from, the fact that you went to Paris at a moment.
Yes.
That's why,
So 2021, post-COVID,
Yeah.
Mr. Donald Trump is the American president. I get sent back to Europe, can't stay in the US. We become a decentralized company. So I arrive in Paris, I fight to find some project and to make our name kind of present. And we managed to get this crazy project for the PSG, Nike, and Jordan. Never scanned anyone before, and I'm there scanning Mbappé, one of the biggest players on this planet. So it was definitely stressful, challenging, and learning day by day, minutes by minutes, how to do so. It was complicated, and the fun story about this is that because it was the Europe, World Cup, the Europe Cup, Football Cup, we see, they were doing training. They could not come to the studio, so we needed to create the studio at the training center with 75 cameras. We were not allowed to be at the training center when they were training, so we needed to go and hide in this room for 3 hours, waiting for the training to be finished, to continue setting up our camera. That took 3 days, literally, to set up. And then we had 3 minutes per player to scan them because they didn't have time. So it was definitely challenging, and this is the results. We were very, it was showcased out afterwards on the Champs-Élysées PSG store. So we did the 3D avatar, 3D fashion, and all that goes with it.
And so at that moment, right, it's because it's pandemic times. And we were, everyone was locked down, and we were so into this in pitching and doing things with digital that we really loved fashion as well, 3D fashion, right? And in that moment, so we were pitching ideas as to how to do a fashion show that is digital, how to do a campaign that is fashion digital, but if you're not physically there, how do you do those campaigns? So we had all these ideas and pitches that we're putting together and pitching around. And what's funny with that is that, as you said, we never knew how to do these things that we were writing, but then the opportunity happens, they trust us, we have to learn as we go through the process, what is the pipeline, how do you first start, all the steps. And it was a funny coincidence that our first accepted was to scan Mbappé.
Yeah.
That was kind of funny. These are other examples of of scanning and how now technology has evolved a lot. How you still need the cameras to do scanning, but you can as well scan with your phone. And so this is scanning Cakes Tequila is a musician from New York, and then working that into his future music video, and then working with his scanning in 3D. So it's yeah. So that's okay. So in terms of steps for that, I wrote here we have here the steps of how to do it. If you want to take a screenshot and try it by yourself. If you never try. Sorry. Okay. So, yeah.
Yeah, so we dived into, at that time as well, we started educating ourselves on the blockchain. We work with digital artists, and even in our work, everything is digital. And so we really took the time to taught ourselves about the use of the blockchain, because artists were coming to us asking us for advice, platform, and places to go. And so we were invited, we became early professional of the arts and the Web3 kind of space.
Why did we get invited?
We got invited because we knew what we were talking about.
Yeah, but because it was niche, no?
It was niche, and Tezos is a very niche blockchain. It's a blockchain that it's for artists, so artists are collecting other artwork from other artists, so it's this beauty of, collecting other art pieces and connecting with other people that work in the same kind of aspect of you.
Because it's a cheap blockchain, so because of, I'm sure you guys heard of like the whole explosion of NFTs and the story with Beeple, and how, from that moment, right after pandemic, there's this big, this boom of technology coming in, and then for all of you, actually, it's valuable information, because you all do digital files. I mean, not all of you, but a lot of the one that do like 3D digital, you do digital files. Digital files, they need some sort of traceability, authentication. So that type of technology are the ones that, like, for artists, it's valuable to have. And at that time, with this big boom, there's not a lot of people in the field that can talk about art, and also that can talk about technology. So because we were already showcasing and doing all this with digital art, we got that opportunity to be called to talk at Art Basel at the Tezos booth. And and Tezos is a very cheap blockchain that a lot of artists can, they can buy each other's artwork for cheap, because blockchain is actually expensive. When you say, like, imagine when you upload a file in a Google Drive, that action in blockchain, in NFT, it's called minting. You're minting on the blockchain, so it doesn't move that forever. So that process costs money to do. You have to pay every time. So Tezos, you pay cents, and Ethereum, you have to pay more euros. So so it's this idea of, we were talking about that whole thing, and then teaching as well the artists how to get into the space as well, how to protect their artworks, and having this education figure that we as well have for the artists.
So from there, we wanted to educate even more people in the digital, about digital art in general, as well as about the technology of utilization of the Web3 and blockchain. So we did this very large exhibition in Paris during 1 month. There's 12 LED screens, and we showcased one artist per day. It was really we kind of give the artists, so we did the curation. We wanted to really explore all of different techniques that digital arts have, to really be able to educate everyone in Paris about those. And we were organizing talks. We'll show the video. No, I'll stop talking.
This was the first building in Paris to have to have screens on the building, and for this is exciting opportunities, because then really art can be showcased in the cities or outside, and instead of just having advertising screens, you have as well art. That's Oelan, the one I was speaking. Ines Alpha does a lot of 3D makeup. She's the pioneer in that. So then in 2022, we're going above and beyond. We're evolving into this, in what we're doing. And at this moment, we also love that idea of a global reach and network across cities and places.
So we did this crazy project. We had a client, like an NFT platform called Poly1, and the brief was to make a projection mapping in Iraq on this UNESCO World Heritage building. So to tell you a bit of the story, initially the clients, we were talking with the production distance, and we were not supposed to be physically there. So we had calls with the production, the projection mapping people, we did the whole curation, and 5 days before the launch, the clients arrive on site, and he called us, and he's like, actually, I need you guys to come here and to manage the project physically here. So then I called my mom, and I was like, Mom, I'm going to Iraq in 3 days. It was definitely like very interesting journey for us too. It taught me a lot about the world in general and how what we see on the internet is not necessarily what is actually happening. We are 2 women. We were managing a team of 40 men in a different country, and we managed to do this large scale projection mapping. Patricia as well give a talk. Our main idea as well is to like digital art and art in general should be free for everyone to see. We are working with a medium that's unknown, and that's definitely is fighting to have a space in the digital, like in the art scene in general. So in there we were showing arts in places that art was never seen before, and as well be able to educate people there around digital art and its different practice. So then we cooking business. We have a much stronger idea of where we are and where we stand, and we wanted to kind of restructurate the whole Braw Haus to have, like, you know, we were doing projects, and now it was like, okay, let's structure them into different spaces.
To define a little bit, to understand, you know, what is all this?
Yeah. This is our business plan that we did at a cafe. So you can see that's this is us explaining a DAO and a system that we can come into somewhat to our lawyer. We were explaining the DAO, a decentralized organization. So we were explaining to our lawyer if that was doable and possible with a lot of circle and connecting. So that was, us cooking some business structure.
Decentralized autonomous
organization.
So the idea of like voting, and that's connected to the blockchain. So
So this is what we came up with. Those 3 different structure.
Whoa.
Much more clean. We as well realized we are a 24-hour business because we are worldwide. So she's late night, I'm very early morning. So we meet my early morning, her late night to catch up on the project that I need to work with during the day.
She's in Europe, and I'm in USA, in New York. So that's like the idea of like 24 hours. And then we have like teams as well in France and in Canada. And so it's very decentralized. So we did 3 structures. We break it out into three tabs. The talent agency representation of those digital artists. We wanted to make it official because all these years we did a calculation, and we featured like 300 or something. 380 artists. So it was, you know, a lot of them were asking us advice and moving things, and we were unofficially already representing some of them. So we're like, okay, let's maybe, you know, this moment to do it official. And then continue pushing the creations and exhibitions and installation, and the idea of a creative studio, innovating with tech, and like, you know, what we come up with things inside our studio and to make things happen, So in that moment, while cooking that, this was happening too. This was in Paris, is the NFT factory. So there was this, because of this big boom of the blockchain, and people wanted to talk to each other a little bit more about the technology and what to do with it. We became co-founders. We met all these people, and then we became co-founders of the Web3 in the Web3 community in France, and create this physical space where people can either, you know, exchange ideas of business, also showcase digital art, and then any type of project that are related to those 2. And because of that, we started having a lot of projects, and we're about, you know, projects that were mixing art and technology.
So you remember the Story of a Hat film that we show you with collaboration? We thought, why not push this to another level and do this with a generative project with 5 digital artists that will create 5 animated layer, 5 non-animated layer, and let's go into a very complicated delivery system of different files and different implementation to be able to generate 5,000 unique artwork. So that was for a client, Ogan the Shoe. It was definitely an interesting process to learn in the go, as well as, again, a very good and strong collaboration between the artists. So you remember how in the presentation initially with Story of a Hat, you only had the last frame of the person before you. Here you needed to create different layers, but all of them needed to match with each other. So there was a respect of who was doing what and understanding the whole team process and everyone's artistic journey in there. So this is kind of the results after.
Yeah, and also that because of no one ever did this type of processes before, and or like we had to come up with systems as to like how do all these artists that are worldwide talk to each other and know that their artwork can match with the other one. So as we were going, we were like being, okay, let's try to put this type of deliverables for these artists and then this type of deliverables for the client. And because it's a generative project, generative, it's when the computer and the algorithm can mix a lot of images together. So it's like all these layers had to be separated and put in the blockchain that then it would generate naturally an image. And that image was a mix of 5 different digital artists. So this is the outcome.
The one next to, like, yeah, each artwork next to each other.
This was as well, so because of our amazing skills of 3D scanning, we were able to like scan the 3D shoe, the Hogan shoe, and gave that to each of the artists, so then they could 100% do their own style. We chose them for their style, and approved by the client, of course. So their style to, okay, this is the shoe, what do you do with it in your program? So each had their own vision. And yeah, and then, you know, we're here in 2023. Last year was this awakening year. We want to, you know, consolidate more everything that we're doing, and we want to, you know, not forget about like why did we start, why we started Braw Haus. Is this idea of like building a strong artist community, building this idea that like through a name you can have credibility as an artist, and then you can as well live your own life. You don't need to, you know, to have a 9-to-5, things like that. So this, you know, is, yeah. So this was something as like 2023 was a big diving into the talent agency representing 9 digital artists. We're developing and growing with them, and as well with the whole network, of course. But because we're a small team, so at the beginning is, you know, we're like, yeah, we're putting. We chose artists that have different techniques, because in digital art there's so many interesting paths that you can do, so many techniques. Quoi,
we out of time.
Ah ouais, okay, because we didn't know. Okay, yeah, so these are the artists you guys should like definitely take their names and check their work, different techniques. Vas-y, toi tu vas maintenant.
Okay, I'll take key of this. So, we did some curation very quickly. Boom. We'll just show some pictures. So we did, as we said, we want to do across the world. We have over 35 different curation that we did. We definitely didn't show you all of this because we are over time. In 14 different countries. We have a metaverse. Why? Because why not showing us all day long in a place that you can just visually see art? And why not doing conference in that space as well? So instead of all being on a Zoom, we can all be next to each other, dress up with a small skirts. And then we expand into creating a lot of physical stuff, art and installation, because
why not?
Why not? Yes, bringing a piano, interactivity on buildings. There's a table as well, a big projection.
Yes. 1 minute.
1 minute, you said. 1 minute, okay. In Times Square, let's go. All around the place. Wait, there's a cool one that we just did that's a light installation that, no,
Well,
on TV, okay, pass.
Yeah.
We as well co-founded a book, a very amazing book around the Bible of Web3. We did the whole curation of this book. It's called New Society. It's beautiful, as you can see up there. And then we did some project with generative art. What is the new way of doing advertising? Why don't we connect code to information? So this was code made with the ingredient of a cream, but then we push it. Why don't we put the code that is in the car and that is connected to the car's powerness and infrastructure? So this was for Infinity, just came out. And why not keep on going some realistic and futuristic kind of aspect? And then why not as well do some more fantasy aspect as well for collaborating with... We passed this. Why not doing some video games as well and bringing in multimedia, AR, voxel,
Gamification. How do we do advertising and gamification and put those two together? So like work with games and yeah.
So this is not out yet, so stay tuned. This is going to be really cool. And then now this is where we have our reel, which we're going to show.
No,
we don't have. No, okay.
This up to this
okay.
one, I think, but maybe yeah, they'll see it.
Yeah, you can come and talk to us. We'll talk more. This is not working.
Yes, because you're clicking 15 times.
Thank you. No, this is the real. We have time for that.
Yeah. Thank you.
This is our reel that just came out too.
This is a 2023 project.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you to OFFF Festival as well.
And we'd like to thank our agent from MA to be
thank you for them.
Us.
Thanks to them. We're here.
And thanks to you to listen to us very quickly.
Yes, thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks.